Hey guys, it's Stephanie, and I just kind of wanted to do a casual chat for my August wrap up because I didn't read a ton of books, and it's just easier for me to do this chat with you. Anyway, so one of the first books I read while I was on vacation in Michigan, visiting my in laws, and that was Ronald Malfi's short story collection, We Should Have Left Well Enough Alone. I ended up rating this around 3.5. So the first story in here is called The Dinner Party, and that one was amazing. It was a very jarring start to the short story collection, and there was a lot of other good ones in here. There's another story about another dinner party that was just an introvert nightmare. Like, I was stressed out reading it, and I think if you're an extrovert, it probably won't be frightening to you. Just like you hosting this party and people just keep barging in and overstaying their welcome and like getting into your personal space, and it was stressful. But there were some stories I wasn't a big fan of, which I think is pretty normal when I read short story collections. Like, they're not all going to be great. But there was enough good ones in here, so I ended up rating this, like I said, like a 3.5. And then Flame Tree Press, which is that new press, sent me a box of their upcoming release titles. And so this month I read 13 Days by Sunset Beach by Ramsey Campbell. And Ramsey Campbell's kind of a big name in horror. I ended up rating this 2 stars. So it's about 3 generations of the family, and they are taking a vacation in Greece on a Greek island that is kind of not a big tourist place. It's kind of like unknown, and weird stuff starts happening, but it just took forever for anything to happen. The chapters are split up into days, so like chapter 1 is day 1, day 2, up to day 13, and every chapter starts out kind of the same way. Like, all the separate families get together and talk about how they slept the night before and what their plans are for the next day, and then kind of like pecking at each other, just like little spats here and there, and it kind of just made me hate everyone, and I just kind of wanted the worst for them. But when stuff happens, it was very underwhelming, and I think it took so long for anything to happen. Like, it was over halfway into the book before anything major really happened. And when it did, like I said, it was just very underwhelming. So this, unfortunately for me, was a 2-star read. But I do have a lot of other Ramsey Campbell books on my shelves that I still plan on reading, and I still plan on giving them, like a fair shot. This one just did not work for me. And I also read Ray Bradbury's The Halloween Tree. I did this one as an audiobook. Hoopla has a full cast narration with very good production value and music, but this was just very fun and whimsical, and it is about a group of boys that go on a supernatural adventure kind of through the history of Halloween in different countries, and trying to save their friend. And it was really good. I think when my son is older, I think this is definitely something I want to do as a tradition. Like, maybe we read this in the month of October. It would be really good. I really enjoyed it. And I definitely suggest finding that audiobook on Hoopla, because I thought it was very well produced, very well done. I also read a graphic novel, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is going to be what the new Netflix series is going to be based on. And I know a lot of people watched, Sabrina the Teenage Witch in the 90s. This is a lot darker. So the character of Sabrina is based in the Archie universe. And a few years ago, Archie comics had a very dark horror graphic novel reboot called Afterlife with Archie that was horror based. And the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is kind of along the same vein, where it's a reboot and it is very dark and horror based. And this one takes place in the 1960s. It's basically the same story. Sabrina lives with her 2 aunts. On her 16th birthday, she finds out she's a witch. She has a talking cat named Salem, yada yada yada. I will say this one is a lot darker. Like I mentioned, there is a lot more of an occult aspect, which I thought made it very interesting. So I am really interested to see the new Netflix series and see how everything is handled. I am actually currently watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch for the first time on Hulu, and I am really enjoying it, but I can definitely say the graphic novel, a lot darker. I also listened to a middle grade horror audiobook by John Connolly called The Gates, which was so much fun. It's about this boy, and he is walking around trick-or-treating a few days early because he wants to get a head start, and he comes across his neighbors. He's like peeking in through their basement window, and they are performing a ritual to contact demons, but they end up opening the portal to hell. And all of the demons are like let loose in the UK. And it is up to this boy and his friends to close the portal to hell. And as goes in these, supernatural kids fighting evil stories, none of the adults believe him until it's way too late. And it was just so fun. I am reading the Book of Lost Things this month by John Connolly, and after reading this, I'm a lot more excited to get into the Book of Lost Things just because this one was just such a fun time, and I really recommend it if it sounds interesting to you. Anyway, guys, those were the books that I read in August. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!